Welcome once again to this edition of the League of the Genuine. This is a conversation around the subject of fakes, around the subject of counterfeits. So we do think that it is appropriate that we have somebody who is not necessarily in the sector or not necessarily manufacturing any product, but who can come and have a conversation in respect of counterfeits, because our intention is to develop the necessary mindset change, behavior change. We are all consumers. We all need to make the subject of counterfeits topical. In the studio this evening is my friend, my mentor, a senior citizen of this country, Alhaji Habib Kagimu. You are most welcome on the League of the Genuine conversation. I know you've been following us from your residence in Malaysia and other places. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much. If I may remove my restrainer, the mask, so that your followers can hear my voice better.
Clearly.
And those who know me be able to recognize me.
Yes.
It's a great honor to be on your program, which program I admire greatly, because you are fighting a terrible, terrible habit in the world of counterfeiting and selling fake products to unsuspecting or people who are aware that these products are fake, but because of their either financial status or their aspiration in order to be seen as people
who have arrived.
Exactly. In the world of brands, and they feel obliged to go and buy counterfeits in order to be seen in the same class as those people who succeeded many years ago and use top brands in the world, and they are forced to buy fakes in order to be seen.
To be seen to be successful.
Exactly.
And to fit
Yes.
with the society.
It's a big problem, and it's worldwide, but it is of course more felt in countries where states don't take specific actions to fight it. There is a worldwide war against counterfeits. But in our continent of Africa, we still have a very, very long way to go. I have seen certain ladies in countries in Europe who have been embarrassed when they are holding their LV bags, and they are pulled on the side by the customs to check if these bags are genuine or not.
Wow.
And mainly
at the airport?
At the airport. And mainly they do this to African women and some extent Asian women. But Asians, of course, less more than Africans because they're well off. They have a lot of powerful economies, and the European countries respect them more than they respect our African.
But Alhaji, before you go into, you've dived deep into the subject, probably showing how much information and knowledge you have about this. I think it's only fair that our viewers get to know. I may know you as Honorary Consul of Malaysia to Uganda.
Yes.
I know you as an astute businessman. I know you as a freedom fighter. You made a lot of contribution to the liberation of this country, the war we had in the 80s. I know you as a father. Can you just, in a few words, tell us who is Alhaji Habib Kagimu, for those who don't know you?
For those, of course, who don't know me, I'm a very simple Ugandan gentleman.
Not simple because they call you a Gaddafi man, for example.
They call me many names, but that is exactly one of them. But the reason they call me that, because, of course, I was born in Uganda. I'm a Ugandan, like all of you here. And
where were you born?
I was born in Mbarara. My village I was born in is called the Ruabutura in Shema County. Now it is a big constituency. I think it has 2 members of parliament. There is Shema North and Shema South. Before it was one huge district. Now it has been divided into 2. I come from there, that's where I was born. I grew up in Mbarara.
From Shema?
Yes.
So you are a Munyankole, not a Muganda?
Well, I am more complicated than that. In my blood, I have a mixture of bloods. My grandfather, the father of my father, was a Muganda. My grandmother, the mother of my father, was a Muchiga from Mondo, Kagonyera's village. And my grandmother looked like you see Mondo. She was almost white, like Mondo Kagonyera. So on my father's part, I have two bloods, Baganda blood and Abachiga blood. But on my mother's side, my mother was the daughter of a Muganda chief, one of the chiefs of Buganda, which were sent to Ankole on the request of the Omugabe of Ankole to the king of Buganda to send him chiefs from Buganda to go and show them the administration Buganda was implementing in the running of their kingdom. And that's why when you go to Ankole, the Magombololas are called Magombolola, the Mashaza are called the Mashaza, which are Buganda administrative names.
Buganda, yes.
Picked from Buganda. My grandfather, the father of my mother, was one of those chiefs, Sulaimani Gwayambade, who was sent to Ankole with others to go and show the Omugabe of Ankole the Buganda administration of their kingdom. And my grandfather was very popular with Omugabe of Ankole. He gave him a special name, Karunda Bantu, because he introduced also the drums for different occasions. Well, they had their kingdom drums, which are of course for the king to drum on accession, but the drums for different purposes, like for Burunji Wansi, for calling people for war, for calling people for a hunt. They were introduced by my grandfather to Ankole, and he became the king. He called him Karunda Bantu, the man who collects people through the drums. He liked him so much, and he gave him a Muhima woman who was a relative, and that Muhima was the mother of my mother.
Wow. So you are no ordinary person. You come from royalty, you come from a strong background, and probably you are now in a better position to influence, because many people look up to you. But just walk us this.
May I say, there is something I want to say also about my grandfather. The reason my grandfather, who is a Muganda, the reason he was in Ankole, because he was one of those Muslim fighters who fought with the Prince of Uganda, Nuhu Mbogo, against the British. And as a result, when they were defeated, they were dispersed from Buganda, and they had to settle in different areas of Uganda, where the English actually dispersed them in order not to allow a mass of the commanders and powerful soldiers around because we could start another war. So they were divided all over the country of Uganda. You know, when you go to eastern parts of Uganda where you come, you have a lot of Baganda who came, and they're all of the Muslims, because they were being dispersed to those areas so that they don't concentrate around their prince. And probably there'll be a problem where they could start another war. So they wanted to leave him with little concentration of soldiers and fighters. My grandfather was sent to Ankole, and he settled in Ruharo, in Imbarara, and that's why he's buried today.
Wow. So that explains your freedom fighter aspects.
I think it is in the DNA, it is in the blood.
It's in the DNA.
While you look at my aspect and contribution to the liberation of Uganda during 1981 to 1986, we call it liberation. But
not liberation.
Yes. But what I want to say on that is that my participation was not only in Uganda. Many countries in Africa, like Zimbabwe, like Namibia, like South Africa, benefited from a lot of my assistance when they were fighting their war of liberation to kick out the colonialists on the African continent. I don't consider myself a militarist, nor a militant, but I'm a man with deep hatred for racism, deep hatred for colonialism, because all these are systems to subjugate Africans to accepting inferiority. I cannot imagine why an Englishman should come from his country to come and run my country, Uganda, when we had our own administration structures. And when you write Ugandan history, one of the things that really annoy me is the way some people think that colonialism came to civilize Africans or Ugandans and that they came to educate us. Our kings were running their kingdoms very well. What did the kingdom of Bunyoro need from England? Zero. What did the kingdom of Uganda need from England? Completely zero. But to get a few colonialists, 10 many, and come and run our country and subjugate our kings to humiliation and arresting them like Kabalega and exiling them out of their country and Mwanga and all that kind of thing. People who write Ugandan history, our history, African history, they need to really visit, especially their education, which many of them are told that the colonialists did any good. I don't see any good that colonialists brought to Africa, except coming here to steal our gold, ivory, diamond, and then take it and build their economies and amass a lot of money from stealing from us our goods, which they took for nothing. We are contributing to the British economy everything that we had here. The colonialists were here to supervise the transfer of wealth from Uganda to England and from African countries to France and to all these colonialist countries, and they built a huge, massive chest of money, which now they have used to dominate the world economies and trade in the world. And then they send it to you and they call it aid or whatever, helping you for development. It is.
This issue of counterfeits, of fake products, I know you are a senior citizen, you've lived through Uganda and many parts of the world in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. We didn't have a problem as big as we have. For example, in respect of medicines, the first counterfeits in respect of medicines were reported in the late 80s.
Yes.
We used to have genuine products. Right now, we are having a reputation for being a center for production of fake medicines. Nigeria is number 2 in the world in producing fake medicines, behind India or Pakistan, one of those two countries. Don't you see that this aspect of counterfeiting is actually contributing to keeping the African, or we Ugandans, at that lower rating, like we are second-class world citizens? Don't you think it is stopping us from being at the table as equals with other citizens in the world?
A lot of the traders who come from Africa to go to China and Dubai to pick up things, most of them go with $3,000 to buy things. What can he buy?
He'll go and end up buying the cheap, the reject, and bring it to the market here.
Because if you went to buy a watch, it would cost more than $3,000 to buy a watch like this. So is he going to trade one watch? He can't. So what is the simplest way? Let me buy counterfeit watches which look like this, because I can sell them to my.
So you feel the Ugandan trading community is a big driver. The fact that they go out
100%. They're a big driver, because if he goes to Dubai, he goes to China to bring watches, he wants to bring 1,000 watches. He doesn't have the money to buy genuine 1,000 watches. What does he do? He buys these watches which cost less than $2 each one.
But then why don't the consumers here reject it?
Because also the consumers are poor, and they also want to aspire to have a fake Omega watch. So the fake Omega watch, which he bought for $1 in China, or for 75 cents, he will come and sell it to you for $5. For him, he has made a very healthy profit. For you, you have a watch that is, you can afford. To the untrained eye, somebody looks at it and thinks
but it's Omega. Rolex. And also you're healthy and happy. Yes. In society, you've been elevated.
Exactly.
You can show your girlfriend that you are styled up.
Exactly.
And your neighbor.
You go and buy shoes which look like ballet, which will cost you $1,000 a pair. But because somebody brought counterfeits, you can go to him and buy them for $10.
Here, Alhaji, here on the League of the Genuine, we have summarized what we call the drivers of counterfeits, and we call them dankani.
Yes.
We have depreciation
Yes.
as a major driver. People cannot depreciate. We've talked about affordability. We've talked about normancy. If it is normal, everybody uses that. That's where I'll also go. We have convenience. That is the easiest place I can get the stuff. People not having awareness about the dangers.
Yes.
You know, most people don't view
exactly.
counterfeits as a dangerous thing.
No.
They think it's just cheap. It's just a bargain. We have aspiration, which we've been talking about. I would like to be like the other one.
So.
I would like to wear this type of jean, Lee. I would like, so aspiration is a driver. Many Africans,
Very big one.
we have a
It's one
big
of the
rural urban migration
Yes.
where people would like to associate and be of a certain level. We have negligence, which is mainly on the part of the regulators and the brands. They are not doing enough to ensure that there are safe products on the market. For example, we have had in the past few years a lot of recalls of Samsung phones. We've not had any in Africa, but many people, the affluent, are holding Samsung.
Yes.
But even if they see on CNN that there was a recall of 1 million Samsung, the guy will continue using it without any care.
And it ends up blowing in his face.
It blows in his face. And then the last one is ineffective cooperation, interagency cooperation. The city authority is not collaborating with the police authorities, not collaborating with the judiciary. Which of these factors to you is the bigger driver of counterfeits?
I think the bigger driver is aspiration. People aspiring to be seen as affluent, to be seen as brand conscious, when actually there is no need for you to do that.
Now, we are a poor country. Most of sub-Saharan Africa is part of the
Actually,
poorest.
we are not a poor country, but we are.
I mean, in terms of
impoverished.
we are impoverished, so
Yes.
we have a lot of poverty. So we are
Impoverished
poor.
by- yes.
We have resources, but
Exactly.
we're not using them. Now, and we are struggling. We are moving on the pedestal of trying to attract foreign direct investment. Investors in the oil sector. I know you're in the oil business. Investors in real estate, in hospitality, and so on. But this behavior you're talking about and this counterfeiting, can it really spur development that we want? Some people have argued, we were in parliament a few years ago presenting to them about counterfeits. And one member of parliament stood up and said, but China developed and yet it is the source of counterfeits. True, 62% of the counterfeits in the world are manufactured in China and Southeast Asia, Thailand, Malaysia, all those countries there. How do you see us getting to the middle income status that we always talk about when we are not answering this question of counterfeits? Can in fact counterfeits help us to develop?
It won't. It's like somebody saying that thieving will make you rich and will make a country grow because you get money quickly. Can you really develop through thieving, from robbery? You can't. Crime doesn't pay.
Counterfeiting is robbery because you're
Counterfeiting
stealing.
is robbery, and you're stealing, and it can't be right. I have been to all these countries you can mention in the world, and I have seen what you talk about counterfeiting in most of these countries, and I don't want to name names so that they don't say I'm making bad propaganda for them. I have gone and been taken on the street by people who wait for you, and they see because of my color, they see me the way I'm dressed, they say, he must be a rich African, he must be a minister with a lot of money.
So they get you.
Come, let me show you. And they drive you through alleys. You even start worrying about your life. And they take you through back door shops, which are not from the outside. From the outside they are closed. They even have a shutter on the outside. You don't see. But once they talk to the people inside, especially now today we have mobile phones, they call them. Before you come, they open up very quickly and get you inside there, and you sit inside. And once you sit inside, they lay everything in front of you, which is counterfeited.
Branded products.
Every brand you could imagine, and made genuinely very nice. People really have to understand that China didn't become rich and developed because of counterfeit. China is the world's factory. If you want to produce anything, you go to China. You want a counterfeit, you go and see your crooks. They may rob you, they may stab you, they may take your money and don't deliver.
But they manufacture genuine as well.
But they also
But the fakes are the ones which come here.
The fakes are the ones which come here because you want to buy cheap things. Most our traders, when they go there, they want fakes. They don't want to know genuine properties. No, I want fake. I want cheap. And they think that they can make money only through buying cheap things. But I want to give you a very good example. I want to give you my personal experience with a fake. There is a huge American friend of mine who came to Uganda through friends. They told him a lot of stories about me. People tell a lot of stories about me. Most of them are not genuine and not true. I'm a very simple human being. And this guy brought me a massive watch as a gift. He wanted to meet me for the first time so badly. He brought me a Coram. There's a watch called Coram. It is huge, it is blue. By the way, I don't like huge watches. I'm not a cowboy. So he brought that. It's a huge...
As a gift?
Yes, as a gift. These Coram watches, some of them buy $20,000. He brought it and he gave it to me as a gift. I was so happy and I thanked him. Thank you very much. In my heart of heart, I said, why buy such an expensive watch? I don't need it. I wish he could bring me a watch of $500 and say, and this is the rest of the cash, can you go and give them to charity? Because you live in a poor country. So we were working on a project, brought here a big company. I don't want to mention the company. We gave them a contract. They did a lot of work for the company. The next visit he came, he brought me a wonderful watch, one of the most expensive watches. I've forgotten the name.
He brought another watch?
A second one, also very expensive. It is not a Piaget. It is, I still have it. Amazing, I still have it.
Cartier.
And only, no, it is not a Cartier, much expensive, even more expensive than the Coram. I have it, but it is in Malaysia, I think. Now I have it in Malaysia. Now, this is what is so interesting. I took these watches like I do. My watches, I take them, in boxes, plenty of them. They have special boxes made to keep if you have many watches. You can put 12 watches in one box. You can put 24, one box on top. And I have these where I maintain my watches. I took them in Malaysia for maintenance. I had to change the battery and all that. The Coram had run out of the
battery.
Yes. And the Philippe Patek, that is the second one, Philippe Patek. And I loved that because it is small inside, it's very flat, terribly expensive. I took that Coram to replace the battery and all that. When I took it, the next day the gentleman called me. He says, "Please, Hajj, can you come?" I said, "Yes." I went there. He says, "You know, unfortunately, your watch is a fake."
Wow.
I said, "What?" He says, "It's a fake."
And you got it from an American?
A gift, boxed properly. And it looks genuine 100%. I said, "Okay. Should I change the battery or not?" I said, "Why? Give it to me as is. Leave it. Don't change the battery. Leave it. Give it to me." I put it. After something like 4 months, I remembered that this guy gave me another watch. So I started looking for the watch till I found it. I thought it is in Uganda, it is in Malaysia. Kept checking. Then I found it is in Malaysia, there, in my watches, many. It's boxed, still boxed. And then took it and we took it to the same guy. I said, "Can you check for me this watch?" And guess what? A second fake. From the same guy.
Two fake gifts.
Same guy, very, very important.
But not from an African.
An American, a white, fat American. A white, fat American. Very rich. I have been to his home in Maryland. I've been to his home. I have those two fakes up to today. The day before yesterday, one of my sons brought me a young man to clean my watches here in Uganda, the ones in Uganda, the collection I have in Uganda. And I saw the Quran. Hadn't seen it for about 2 years. When I took it out of the box, the chain around it, beautiful chain, it was all eaten by weevil.
Because in a box?
In the box.
So it was also fake?
It is dissolving. That is the one which he told me, the first one, the first Quran, which is fake, and I told him, give it to me. Because I was thinking, when I go back to America, I want to take these two watches and give them back to the gentleman.
But what does that show you?
It is
Counterfeits are at the top and at the bottom.
It shocked me to the core. I said, this is a gift which I didn't ask. This is a gift which doesn't make any difference to me. Because the watches I have, I don't want to say the number, I don't want to look like I'm boasting. And I have every quality of a watch you could imagine. Why did he give me this? He knew. Because he knew very much that the Hajj loves watches. That's why he bought it. Why buy me a fake?
But don't you see, that is now the first issue we talked about.
Yes.
Differentiation. You yourself could not differentiate
between the
genuine Korah
exactly
and the fake one.
Except
probably
the watchman.
Even the person giving you the gift.
Yes, it is possible.
The person who was
yes.
buying.
Yes.
And that's why on this program we are saying the brands need to come out.
Yes.
To help us, the consumers, to differentiate between the genuine and the fake. Because a learned person like you, a widely traveled person like you, can be a victim of counterfeits.
Exactly.
What about the ordinary person?
The ordinary
on the
simple
street?
person, yes. Yes. You know, the second watch, I had to go and check it I had to take it for checking so that I make sure that it is not a counterfeit. And it was a counterfeit coming from America by a high-level American, very rich. 20,000, 15,000, 30,000 would make nothing to him.
Now, Chairman, you can see for the Americans, they are suffering from counterfeiting of luxury goods.
Yes.
For us here, Africans, we are suffering from counterfeiting of the basic things
which we
need to keep us alive.
Including medicine.
We are having counterfeit medicines. Most of the anti-malarials on the market, 60%, 50% are fake. The HIV drugs, most of them are fake.
Can you imagine?
Cancer drugs are fake. I mean, food is faked. The cosmetics are faked. The automobile, the electronics, everything is faked. So you can see that it's a responsibility for we Africans, especially we who are educated and have seen things, to take this as our personal responsibility to ensure that we fight and push back this menace of counterfeits, which will definitely finish us. Because all the issues that you have talked about, we shall not stop to aspire. Human beings always desire for more and better and better and better.
That's how they are made.
And because we live in the era of consumerism, and we have media, and we have internet, and we have TVs, we shall always see, we shall always aspire, we shall always want. What is the rallying call as a senior citizen, somebody who has been there, seen it, done it all? What should we do to push back against this menace of counterfeits? A special message in particular to the youth who constitute more than 70% of the population in this part of the world.
My message is very simple. Counterfeit is dangerous to those who do it, but even more dangerous to the consumers, especially if you consume counterfeit medicine. You are putting your health and the health of your family, your children, at an amazingly great risk, huge risk. It is important even to contemplate the consequences when your kid in his or her young age can acquire cancer because of using counterfeit creams, medicines, and all these necessities of life. The only way to fight this is the public awareness. There's a lot of social media. It is important for the people to convince each other to avoid using counterfeit because it is dangerous to them. But the most important thing is the government, which is the driver of development in a certain given region. In Uganda, our driver of development is our government. It is the leader, it is the guide, and it is the protector. It is the job of our government to protect its citizens from consuming counterfeit goods. And it would be a big mistake if any government anywhere in the world felt like that member of parliament, that counterfeits are good. There's nothing good about it. When someone gives you counterfeit, he has given you zero, but you are giving him money. It doesn't matter how little it is. The one giving you counterfeit, not only he gives you zero for something, he can give you disease. He can give you a killer disease.
You pay the price with your life. You basically die. But you can't be talking about government.
And the government is losing.
Without, in this part of the world, corruption by government officials, a lot of money is wasted. How are we going to fight counterfeits when the money which is put there is stolen?
You are right.
What's your comment
yes,
on that?
You are right. Now, the problem of corruption is that it is not only from government. Even non-government organizations, they're all corrupt. Corruption is in your mind. If you want corruption as a human being, the government can do nothing about you. The government can watch you as long as it has genuine people who can watch. But if you are corrupt, I'm corrupt, she's corrupt, who is the government going to employ to supervise anti-corruption? When if you're the person put in corruption, in Arabic we say, hamiha haramiha. The guardians are the thieves. The guardians, it's like putting wolves in charge of your flock. In Uganda, the institutions are so racked by corruption, you go to the police, you have no protection. If you want to be protected, you have to pay. Someone kills your son, you call the police, they want fuel, as if the government doesn't give them fuel. They tell you fuel. We need fuel to go on the site. You have to pay that fuel. If you don't pay, they will not come. They will not prepare reports. They will not help you in your case.
You report that somebody has counterfeited your product, imported it, they bribe. The product gets in.
Yes, the person who has imported counterfeit will pay more. I have suffered at the hands of counterfeit in the land office, where people can fake even a title on your own land. I even understand that the president of this country, President Museveni, who is the boss of all bosses, the capo di tutti capi, as the New Yorkers would call him, he suffered his own land taken and divided by land officials who are not afraid of the biggest man in the country, the man who owns the army, who owns the police. So you can imagine people like me, like you. I don't live in the country a lot of time. They go to the land office, they take details of your land. They even have the powers to cancel your title. When you are there, you have a title at home, it is already cancelled in the land office. They divide it and make other. This kind of corruption is simply too much, and it seems that Ugandans love corruption. They can't exist without corruption. With that kind of corruption, it is impossible to fight.
But we want hope. This is a program of hope.
As a starting point for the government, they need to have, as they have anti-corruption. They know corruption is big. In the anti-corruption, they have corruption. But they put the system there. So they have done their job. Eventually, we'll get good, clean kids, your sons, her sons, my sons, who will come and clean out corruption using the same systems which are put in place. The government needs to put in place a system that counters counterfeits. It has to be there. They must have an authority to fight counterfeits. And this authority will feed into the International Organization of Counterfeit Fighters. Because it is a United Nations body now which fights counterfeits.
Okay, so that is our special guest, Alhaji Habib Kagimu, Honorary Consul of Malaysia. We shall have another day. You tell us about Malaysia and Uganda, astute businessman,
so much to tell you about
freedom fighter, our friend, very passionate about ethics, legitimate business, and so on. Our message here, Alhaji, I'll tell you, is that a lot of the problems arise from the fact that we are all waiting for the government. Government to Yambe. All the time.
Yes.
Government should do this. We do not take away the responsibility that the government carries to ensure the good governance, to ensure the enabling environment, protection of property and life. We do not take that away. Yes. But here at the League of the General, we say that can the government come in and find us somewhere, find that we have mobilized ourselves, that we are also ready to engage, because many times the government will put up a program, but the citizens are not ready to participate.
The citizens' responsibility falls squarely on each and every individual person.
Yes. So we are playing a role in ensuring that we fight these vices we have, counterfeits, which is also a form of corruption, by doing the most important thing, which is creating awareness. When we have people like you, we thank you for coming to also make this part of the national debate, make this a top of the mind awareness issue, making everybody appreciate that it's as important as other things. There are many people out there who spend a lot of time online, on TV and so on. Can they also allocate time to caring for themselves, their own safety, to know what it is they are consuming, what it is they are eating, what is it they are selling. So with that, we would like to...
Can I make one comment on that, adding on what I have just said, which is brilliant. To fight counterfeit, it's like to fight corruption. These two are two sides of the same coin as far as I'm concerned. You need the government, we have already said that. You need the civil society, the people themselves, which I've just talked. But there's a very, very important aspect which you didn't touch, and maybe I should bring this to the fore. Uganda, like many African countries, are people who spend a lot of time on religion, which is good. You should spend time on religion because God created you, He wants you to be. People need to look at the aspect of life and link it into their death. I am a Muslim by religion. When we are born into this world, we come with nothing. Everybody, like us, whether you're Muslim or not, you come naked with nothing. When you leave, you, my friend, the Christian, you put on your best suit and your best tie, and you go down with it in the grave, still aspiring to appear in front of God with that beautiful suit, which you'll appear in front of God after 1 billion years or 2, because the world has been here for billions of years.
Suit it would have.
So I keep asking, why go? For us, we roll you in a sheet, piece of white sheet, and roll you in your grave.
Leave all the suits and the watches.
The suits, the watches, we give them to your heirs, okay? People need to think about that God they are going to meet. What are you going to meet Him with? With your fakes? With all this horrible paper money you have collected, which has no value at all, and you're going to leave behind? What are you going to meet your God with? Your religious leaders have got to tell the people to live within their means, to think that friendship, family, and social relationship, good social relationship, not you are my friend and I'm planning to rob you, not you are my neighbor and I'm planning to kill you or kidnap your son. And you don't. This is what the religious people need to the genuine religious people. That's what they need to teach their communities. Because I'm sorry to say, as there is corruption in religion, there is fake also in religion. People who fake new religions.
So they are fake imams, fake pastors.
Fake imams, fake pastors. The fake imams for us in Islam, the Prophet warned us against them. I warn you before the end of the day, when those fake imams will come and start telling you their own stories and all that kind of thing. Those who are, who think that I am cleaner than you. Those who know who's going to hell and who's going to heaven.
So you're saying the counterfeit culture, that subculture, is also being promoted in the religions?
You have got me. Exactly, that's what I mean. So when you are giving awareness on counterfeit in products, there is counterfeit in religion, counterfeit gods, which they genuinely sell to people who are unaware that God is simple and God is with you wherever you are, and you can ask God directly without going through any medium. Those are the problems our societies face. They don't have clarity. They have no clarity of anything.
I think next time we are going to ask a religious leader to come in this seat and talk to us about counterfeits in the religions. Because it appears that is a point.
Yes.
As long as we are looking at product, services, we also need to go to the religions.
And every week, these religious leaders have an opportunity to interact with their society,
And they are very influential.
with their flocks, and they're very influential. If these guys tell you that these fake products will not take you to heaven, and what will take you to heaven is your good deeds, the water borehole you have made for your village, and the community service you're doing for your people is what will take you to heaven.
Alhaji, it seems we are going to pick a cue from you. This fight against counterfeits needs to be taken to the churches, to the mosques.
Exactly.
Because like he says, a lot of this behavior is not just coming out from the supermarkets and so on, but it's actually being preached. And that seed,
And it is in the soul of the people.
it is going up to the soul of the people. We have to end this conversation here. Our first special guest of the month, Alhaji Habib Kagimu. We thank you so much for making the time. I know you're briefly here in Uganda. You're ordinarily resident and doing business in Malaysia, keeping the Ugandan flag high as ever. We are happy that you made the time. But once again, Alhaji, thank you so much, and you are welcome at any time. And keep watching us, and you'll be able to know that you've also made a contribution.
Thank you
So
very
with
much.
that, I would like to say bye for now.